We have decided to more or less get away from our usual format tonight to talk about media and Black people in media. We have decided to more or less get away from our usual format tonight to talk about media, especially for Black people. We keep hearing reports that media is the big thing, especially television, where more and more people are watching more and more television, 3 to 4 hours a night. According to the statistics, Black people are watching even more than that, usually double that of their white counterpart. And I'd like to just get into a little discussion about our role in media. When they talk to their neighbors about what's going on. What about our own education as media people? Are we seen by, let's say, white media or even our own media as being Black folks, or are we reporters or disc jockeys or news directors?
I think we're seen as Black folks. I think I've gotten letters, complimentary letters sent to me to the station simply because, not because I was that much better than any other reporter who went on the story, but because they were surprised that I performed as I did, seeing as how I'm Black. And so I think, yes, we're viewed as Black reporters.
That's interesting what you just said. Like you weren't expected to be a good reporter because you're
Black. And when I was, a letter was sent to the station saying I was good. When the letter I think was really saying, I was surprised that you were good, seeing as how you're Black.
That's very interesting. Anybody else want?
I got a follow up on that. I think it goes back to our inception in this country. I was talking to a young lady from Nigeria the other day, and she was telling me about she had been to all other countries, a lot of other countries in this world, and the United States was the only country or nation that she had been to where Blacks were taught, or the impression was given that you should feel bad about what you are. And she said she had been over to London and places like Australia, and that the mentality did not exist the way it does here. And like Maxine said, we're viewed as Blacks, and I don't see anything particularly wrong with that, as long as people look at us fairly, although that's not always the case. But I think the system that we live in is programmed to make us dislike ourselves, and if you dislike yourself, how can you do anything effectively and feel good about what you're doing? So even though we're viewed as Blacks in the media world, I think being the underdog could very well be an advantage.
And in America, African children are in a state of emergency. So the best vehicle to use is the vehicle that they enjoy, which is hip hop music.
Okay, let's try to put this in perspective. Were you misquoted?
Yes, I was definitely misquoted.
What did you say, and what did they printed that you said about killing whites? You said you didn't say that?
What I'm saying is that what you and other people in the media have not done is said what the question that the reporter asked me was, what I said before and after the comment that people are blowing up and magnifying all over the world.
All right, that's what I just asked you now. What happened?
The question was, but even the people themselves who were perpetuating that violence, did they think it was wise? Was that wise, reasoned action? So the reporter is asking me what the people who did the violence in Los Angeles think.
Right.
And I responded to him in the voice of the people who did the violence, which is that white people have known that every day in Los Angeles, Black people are dying from gang violence, but that they did not care. But when it became a question of white people dying and $1 billion in property being lost, that's when it became a concern. But in the mind of a gang member, if the social and economic system has neglected your development and you have become a casual killer who will kill even your own brother, in your mindset, why not kill a white person? Because murder will not discriminate by color. The other thing that I said is that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast. This time I got my brother Koku on here, Bitter Medicine Podcast. Shouts out to the Pro Black Perspective, the Revolutionary Matron, Learning Curve, Jermaine, Tanzan, Bill Gates, my brother. Shouts out to all of y'all. And before I say anything, I definitely gotta, give shouts out if y'all missed it. You know what I'm saying? Erica, suffered a heart attack in her sleep. So, I'm definitely going send my shouts out to her. Hopefully she feeling better. I gotta hit her up, you know what I'm saying, check on her. But I definitely wanted to send my love to her. And I hope she get back on her feet soon. So, I definitely want to do something nice for her because she's the one that helped us hold everything down. You know what I'm saying? I eventually want to get back to these meetings and stuff like that because we want to make progress and we want to have these situations taken care of. But, that's another time, no place. But I got my brother Koku on here. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, Forecast, how are you today? Forecast, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't hear you. I think your mic.
You can't hear me? That's strange. What's going on here? Yeah, everything should be working. I don't know why you don't hear me.
But I can't hear you. You might have to go out and come back in again.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, while we waiting on my brother, yeah. So like I was saying yesterday, Erica is the type of person where she like, don't worry about me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of other people need help too, and that's the kind of person she is. She's the one that helped us to Team Black organize and all of that kind of stuff. Oh, y'all could hear him? I couldn't hear him. Koku?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Forecast, can you hear me? I don't know what's really going on.
For some reason, I can't hear you on the StreamYard. I hear you on the I hear you on the YouTube, but I can't hear you on the StreamYard. Hold on.
Yeah, while the Forecast troubleshoots that, let me just say peace to the family in the chat. I see the Pro Black Perspective is there. I see Tanzan, Sister Tanzan is there, and I see the Learning Curve, that's the Revolutionary Matron, is there as well. And shout out to the rest of you who I'm not familiar with. I'm Koku from the Bitter Medicine Podcast. You may have heard about it. You may have heard about the network that we have, KWAZ Radio. So, my plan is to be here and talk about that, chop it up a little bit with the Forecast tonight.
All right, yeah, I hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I appreciate you for coming on here, my brother. And before I say anything, I wanted to talk to you because I did want to pick your brain a little bit because like when I mention certain stuff, a lot of people haven't heard about it. You know what I'm saying? Like the Madison Washington thing, for example, and
Right.
a lot of questions that I've asked you, you've been able to answer, and a lot of people haven't heard of it. So I know you definitely have a lot of good information, and you know what I'm saying. Hopefully, you'll teach us something tonight.
Well, I mean, I'll try. The thing for me is, the old saying is iron sharpens iron. So what really happens with me is I really learn from a lot of you guys. I do my own study, my own reading, and whatnot. But it's the discussions, the discourse that we have, especially with the Shoot the Breeze, but not limited to that. Oni's platform, the Pro Black Perspective, the Matron, etc. Like and of course you now and Brother Bakari, like those conversations, they really kind of open up your thinking, and they kind of shape your outlook and your mentality. So again, I do my own reading, of course, but I listen to a lot of information. I try to do the Garvey thing. Garvey said you must have a library, and in your library you must have a radio, and on that radio you should be listening to programs that kind of edify you, that build you up mentally and otherwise, and that's kind of what I try to do.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, my brother, I want to talk to us about, you know, what you got going on. Like, I know you're trying to build a team, you know what I'm saying, over at Bitter Medicine Podcast, KWAZ Radio, you know what I'm saying? So tell us about that, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, well, okay, let me start from the very beginning. Um, when the Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown murders occurred, I kind of didn't like the fact that we didn't have folks who were speaking truth to power around those situations and trying to galvanize uh, black folks in America to reorient themselves and push for something different, push for some kind of power. You know, what can we do? How can we get organized to kind of cut down and prevent these things from happening if possible? And so that's when I started the Bitter Medicine podcast. Now, the thing about me, I have one of those personalities where if I do something, I'm always looking at the wider possibilities. So once I started my podcast, it then dawned on me, well, why should I, you know, do it alone? There's all these voices out here on the internet, some of them real piss poor for our people, some of them much better. Why shouldn't I try to link, in fact, organize with other voices, other people who have an opinion and have some direction and do some self-study and stuff like that. And so I ended up interviewing the brother Oni from now the Pro Black Perspective, and I spoke to him after the interview, and I got him to come on board. And for a long time, it was just he and I, you know, on this thing called KWAZ Radio. And then eventually we got, you know, D-Web, the Harsh Reality Podcast, and others to join. But the whole idea really was to have sound, sensible, you know, knowledgeable, learned, researched opinions, and to have a meeting of the minds, so to speak. Like some people will say we do talk shows. I think we do thought shows where, you know, you come with your opinion, I come with mine, and at the end of it, we don't have to change each other's opinion about it necessarily, but we have a wider understanding. And so, you know, I took that into consideration. I said, let me try to get the people who I like to listen to, or the people who I vibe with, or who resonate well with me. Let me try to get us together and become the spot for people to come to hear conscious conversations, to help themselves build their opinion, to help them get their guidance for what it is we want to do as a collective and what role each of us can play. So, you know, that's kind of where the whole KWAZ radio thing came from. And lastly, Malcolm X was an inspiration in that too. One of the things you'll notice about Malcolm X was how media savvy he was. You know, he was pushing black nationalism. He was also pushing that Islam thing too, but he was very media savvy, and he understood the impact that media has. And in fact, that clip you played, I think that was Sister Soldier. I forget my man, the talk show host, the white guy who was grilling
Larry
her.
King.
Oh yeah, Larry King. Yeah, he, you know, the media has a power, you know, and the power is propaganda. And so, can we create black propaganda strong enough where the majority of our people can come to that propaganda, can interact with it, and then go out and spread the propaganda themselves? And that's really the important part. And the reason why I'm using that term propaganda, some people will hear that and cringe, but that's what we need, really. We need ideologies out there, and we need not just ideologies for ideology's sake, but we actually need, and this is the next step, we need people to actually act on said ideologies.
Yeah, and let me say this, yo, because it's ironic, because even though everything I say on this channel is true, you know, to the best of my ability, I say everything that I've learned, you know what I'm saying? Whether people can disprove it or not is another thing. But I'm not gonna lie to y'all, like this channel is straight propaganda, you know what I'm saying? It may be good information sometimes, and it's ironic when I do shows about like the stock market, like you know, certain people come through for those shows, but doesn't get the same kind of recognition, you know what I'm saying, as shows like When People Whatever, because we have a certain mentality. But I also think that meeting people where they are, you know what I'm saying, plays a part in our role as far as that, you know what I'm saying. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when I show these stuff, it's not like it's a lie or anything. And I'll probably release another premiere after this if it's not too late, you know what I'm saying, tonight, or is it going to be tomorrow. So if I get blocked, by the way, you can subscribe to the other channel, the backup channel. But yeah, I agree with you 100%, because yo, if you go through like what got me recognized, you know, and this is how I got on the blacklist, you know, and why they shadow blame my channel so bad, because you know people was sharing the kind of stuff that we was doing, and its intent is to piss you off. Because for me, I don't understand how people are not pissed off, live like just walking around. Like, how are you okay with just certain things, like even just taxes? They can take your money and to fund your own oppression. But if you have anything to say to that. But I also wanted to ask you, like, what was some of the things that you was hearing, like that made you want to get in? I know you was like they wasn't telling like truth, or you know, however you put it, you know.
Yeah, just to touch on the first thing you mentioned, um, that's a part of it, right? The idea that we can actually fund our own oppression comes from the fact that we are not questioning what we're doing. So when you pay your taxes, you hear white folks say this all the time when they're pulled over by a cop. Listen, MF, I pay your salary. And what folks aren't realizing, our people aren't realizing, is when we see these kids, getting gunned down by the police, unarmed and all that type of stuff. Like, for example, I work, right? Taxes are coming out my, whatever, to fund these death squads. And because we don't have, enough folks thinking about these issues, everyone just kind of goes along and gets along, right? And so the thing I wanted to do was to highlight these issues when they come about. Like you did the show, and I touched on it on Shoot the Breeze, the show where uh, um, the black guy who ran up on the bodega dude and got stabbed and killed, right? Like, in the show that you did, you asked some very important questions, and it kind of made me pause for a second and think. You did another show where you talked about the Brittany Griner situation, which, by the way, she got like 9-10 years today in Russia, right? And so, yeah, you got to pause and you got to really think about it. But most of our people aren't pausing to think about it. Most of our people are just going along with it, and that's the problem. So when the Mike Brown thing happened and I started the Bill of Medicine podcast, what was happening at the time was folks was protesting, and you'll turn on the TV and see folks twerking, selling mixtapes, right? And all this old nonsensical stuff when there's a serious issue going on. I think it was only who said it to me one time, folks just marching in circles and call it a protest, right? But I prefer people just move in silence more so, through their own media channels, bring people together, organize, and really do something about it. We have real serious work to do. And so this is why, I wanted to bring different voices together: men, women, black women, different perspectives, but all trying to find a solution for these problems. And that's really the crux of it. I see Jermaine Thompson in the chat saying something that someone was a troll. Who's the troll, Jermaine? Yeah, but forecast, that's, that was the idea there.
Right, yeah, and that's I understand exactly what you're saying. I get it too, and the thing that I realize is a lot of people get secondhand information. You know what I'm saying, to the point that they may not know that they're even regurgitating. And I can respect people who go out there and just look at, and I may just be regurgitating. I don't know, but at the same time, like, I respect that you go out there and you push it. So like, what are some of the things that y'all talk about?
When you say y'all, you mean the network, or you mean
Yeah,
me?
the network, like you on. Well, I guess you. I would say you first.
Yeah. So my thing is, I believe that the real the real organizing occurs in the classroom. I think we have to re-educate ourselves. Um, I think we need to get back to who we are. Like, okay, let me put it like this, and I think folks will kind of understand this. One of the things I do in life is I look at reality, and I realize that we're not living in our reality. You know what I mean? So, like in the Caribbean or wherever, school is from 9 to 3. Why? Because this white boy from Britain had his schooling going on from 9 to 3, Monday through Friday. Why are we still following that? What works best for us, right? What works best for us? That's what gets me. Like, we go along with stuff that doesn't resonate with us. It's not who we are originally. And so I always question this reality thing, and I realize that a part of our reality being warped, it starts early on in the school system, man. You've heard about school to prison pipelines and all this type of stuff. That happens as early as like grade 3. You know, that happens as early as grade 3, and so uh, my whole platform is more about re-Africanization through education. One of the projects I have um, is to develop like an African-centered curriculum, an updated one, in fact, a Pan-African one at that. Um, because again, one of the things we're not educated on as well is who we are and who our uh, cousins, so to speak, are. Like, what's the struggle going on in the Congo? What's the struggles going on in Jamaica, for example, or down in Alabama? What's the struggles, and how can we assist each other? Maybe I have some information that can help you all down there, or you guys have some information across the way that can help me here. You know what I mean? So that's really what I try to do with my show. So on my show, what I do for a long time, I was doing reading these research papers that deal with different problems in terms of Pan-Africanism. And I'll read those papers and give my commentary and stuff. Like, I did a series on the book Nation Building, which is a great resource if you want to talk about building a African-centered curriculum. I do the Shoot the Breeze segment on Saturdays because I wanted to be able to just sit back with the folks who listen to the show and have a discussion. And again, iron sharpening iron, where by the time I listen to Oni drop something, or by the time, shout out to Mr. Untouchable in the chat, by the time Mr. Untouchable comes through with his thoughts, Kevin Carre or the Revolutionary Matron and Tanzan, or yourself, Brother Bakari, by the time you guys come through, I walk away from that with a little bit of a changed perspective, whether it be, more firmly, whether my belief is more firm than it was before, or whether I divert a bit and I change up my thinking. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. So I see we got Jermaine Thompson in the chat say I sound like an immigrant. I am an immigrant. You're an immigrant too, right? You're just an immigrant against your folks were immigrants against their will, as Dr. John Henry Clark put it. But yeah, that's what I do on the Bitter Medicine podcast, which is what the name is about too. It's not gonna be all smiles and giggles, but it's gonna help you out, right? It's gonna help you out.
Yeah, and let me say this, because it's all love with Jermaine. Jermaine been supporting for a long time. I'm not sure. I personally don't get into the ADOS versus Pan-African argument. You know what I'm saying? If you notice, I don't talk about that on my show on any of the stuff. You know what I'm saying? To me, I think that kind of stuff is redundant, but I see a lot of us do get caught up in that, and that turns into a whole nother thing. You know what I'm saying? And and I'm gonna be honest, I see points from both sides. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, we still have, this was a debate we had 100, 200, 300 years ago, and we're still in the same position, and we're just talking. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really get into those kind of discussions, but what about you? What you think about that?
Well, those discussions, even what the brother Jermaine Thompson is saying in the chat, right? Those type of sentiments and those discussions come about from what some would call the new black media, right? The new black media, to me, is a bunch of agent type stuff where people are just set up to foment issues between diasporans. And that's also what I want to counter as well. Not that I want to be engaged in the ADOS, FBA stuff. Like, for example, I'm on Twitter. I had to mute all those words, man. Foundational Black American, ADOS, all that stuff I had to mute. In fact, just before I came on here, I saw a Nigerian woman talking about a kata, and I had to repost and say, this is not what you do. You know what I mean? This is not what you do, because we don't get anything out of that. You know what I mean? We don't get anything out of that. In fact, the thing I want to remind folks who would call themselves, indigenous African Americans and this, that, and the other, is that you've had Africans and you've had Caribbeans who came and played major roles in movements in America. Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture was considered at one time, the most dangerous man in America. That guy's from Trinidad. You know what I mean? That guy's from Trinidad and Tobago. So, the whole idea is I don't want to really get into the diaspora wars. I want to kind of refocus the direction that our folks are going. What? One thing I've learned recently is, like, our folks like beefs. By the way, I talked about this in a rant I did about Corey Holcomb and Zoe Williams, which I think you might be familiar with. And now I see Corey Holcomb has a beef with Ryan Davis now.
And by the way, we could get into that kind of stuff later if you want to, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so I think our people, we kind of like beefs. We kind of like, a guy is walking by another guy, and maybe a guy's in thought, and he looks in the direction of the other guy, and the other guy is like, what, you have a problem with me? And bam, there's a whole beef. Like, we like this kind of stuff because I believe it's because we don't really want to fight the real fight. You know what I'm saying? The real enemy is not another guy who looks like me or you, or a woman who looks like me and you. The real fight is, we know who our enemy is. I mean, it's clear cut, right? This person has been our enemy for hundreds of years now, but we like the little beefs because it means that we don't have to focus on the real issue, and because the real issue is hard work to overcome. We're in a situation that's going to take a lot of hard work, and it's going to take a lot of us in unison, a lot of us organized, to get this situation under control, to change our current reality,
Yeah. And okay, so before I ask the next question, let me say this. Now, Jermaine, and I'll talk about, the white Christian stuff too, because that's a whole nother lane, you know what I'm saying? But Jermaine, like, with us, with you being so hard with the Christian thing, we can't expect somebody like Cody, whatever his name is, to change, you know what I'm saying? And then not look at another black person if you feel like they come from somewhere else, especially if we have a God that's a people of color God, you know what I'm saying? Like, before we can exclude any other black person, we would have to exclude every other person. I don't care, Filipino, like whatever you think, the black whatever of any race is, you got they included. You know what I'm saying? Every John Brown gotta go. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll go to the, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Now, you can say something to that, but my question for you is like, because you mentioned the new black media, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of wanted you to explain, like, what do you mean by that, and who do you mean by new black media? Because it's a lot of different ways you can go. Because like, it's in sports, you see like I don't know if people pay attention to that with the new black media, and they be telling Draymond Green to basically shut up and dribble too, you know, because he get on his nerves. But also, I also kind of get what you mean when you were saying new black media, but you know, I kind of want you to break it down too. So.
Well, the self-proclaimed new black media folks would be your Jason Blacks, your Professor Black Truths, your Tariq Nasheeds, etc. And by the way, let me just say this too. I don't have a problem with folks. I don't have a problem with folks identifying with their group. But when your identity is based on the denigration of other black people groups, I have a big issue with that. You know what I mean? Like Dr. John Henry Clark said, man, be proud of where you're from. You know, if you're from Jamaica, you're from the Bahamas, you're from Alabama, you're from Kenya, wherever. Be proud of where you're from. But at the end of the day, remember you're an African. And that's kind of my motto in life. You know what I mean? That's kind of my motto in life. And I don't get bogged down in the idiots, right? Because everyone has an idiot. Every group of people has a set of idiots or losers. I don't get bogged down in the idiots who want to try to put down others and all that kind of stuff. That's a minority of people, right? The majority of us need to get together and work. You know what I mean? This thing where folks want to make themselves to be exceptional above everyone else, we need to stop that. Because there's some hard truths about that so-called exceptionalism, right? You know, so yeah, so those guys would be the guys who proclaim themselves to be that new media, but that new media, that particular vein of new media, is to me a detriment to what we need to do. Guys like Afro Think Tank, Pan-Africanism Strikes Back. To me, that's the media I think our folks should really be on. Again, if you want to listen to media that talks about, you know, your group, that's cool. But like the brother gassed him up, you know, one of the panelists on Shoot the Breeze, like he says, at the end of what you're doing, are you going to have an economy? Do you have a culture? Right? Like, what are you getting out of this in the end? We've had this ADOS FBA stuff going on for about 4 years or so now. Where is the economy? Where is the culture? Right? Where is the education? Where is the curriculum? Like, where is the organization? Right? There's nothing really coming out of this stuff. At least with, you know, people will try to shit on Pan-Africanism, but there's people working at that every day, and you could see progress in that vein every day. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's my take on that stuff. We have to counter the nonsense and get serious, because a lot of these guys in the so-called new black media are jokesters. They're unserious. They're serious about being unserious. You know, we got to get serious and actually do some stuff. How are we going to protect ourselves? How, you know, where are we going to get the power backing from to protect us out here, out in the West, or wherever we are outside of the continent? You know, that's the stuff we got to get real serious about.
All right, yeah, I feel you on that. And by the way, because I don't think I spoke to Raw, Mr. Untouchable, Bakari. And Bakari, stop encouraging stuff, my brother. You already know, Jermaine, cool. But shouts out to all of y'all that came in. I don't know what you mean, Raw. But anyway, so let me say this though, like when it goes to new black media, right? Because I feel like, you know what I'm saying, this is a form of also new black media. Like one thing that has happened, you know what I'm saying, in the last you know, especially 10 years, the internet has changed the game. You know what I'm saying? It's there as a tool that could be used for good or bad. You know, we use it for whatever reasons. Now, I did reports where they was like showing these gangs that be running up January 6th, they be linking up on video games. You know what I'm saying? While we have apps like Fanbase where, you know, I would say there's a lot of arguing and stuff that go down, you know, and instead of doing things that are productive, I say all the time, and I'm gonna start working on it, like, yo, like creating a specific language. You know, it don't have to be mad complicated. It can just go to something that people can easily know. But instead of wasting that time, we kind of pick things to argue about. So that's why I particularly don't get into certain things, you know what I'm saying? Because it's perpetuated enough, you know. Now, if nobody did it, then maybe I would do it, you know. But like I said, like if I look at Tariq Nasheed, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just say people's names, so who cares, you know.
Right.
But if you put his name in, right, and then you look in the last 24 hours, you'll see like 100 videos, right? But if I put in that Buffalo shooter scamming $3 million after Tariq Nasheed got the $1 million, I don't hear nobody talking about it. It would be one thing if some people, I didn't hear nobody else talk about it. I just only seen he got, you know what I'm saying, they was on the news with it, you know what I'm saying? And the families and stuff was complaining about it because he was keeping that money, by the way. And I don't see a lot of us talking about that, but you know, that's a long rant or whatever.
Yeah, because they have black folks, caught up in a ball of confusion. Instead of talking about the things that really matter, like the idea that a white boy could walk into what I assume is a black community, right? Let's take Dylan Roof, for example, right? The fact that this white boy could walk into a church, a black church, and kill 9 black people, that's what we need to be talking about. We don't need to be talking about some so-called black American exceptionalism. We need to be talking about, because that happened right here in America, in black America. We need to be talking about how can we prevent that from happening. You understand what I'm saying? So, and by the way, if you have solutions coming from folks, they could be immigrants or whatever, right? They could be immigrants or whatever. If the solutions work, then they work. It doesn't matter where it comes from, right? Once it's black folks solving black folks' problem, right? Go ahead, Forecast.
No, yeah, I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying. But you know, what I was gonna ask you, you know, what I wanted to ask is like don't you consider yourself new black media, or if not, like what would it be? Or, you know, so like how would you fit into like that whole thing? You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah,
you
I
get my question.
guess I guess I guess you could consider us new black media. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I guess you can. But I want to be like the alternative. I don't want to be the mainstream stuff that you hear all the time. Again, immigrants, uh, you know, this non akata, this foolishness, that foolishness. Let's really be about something more and really try to get to the heart of these problems. Like right now, you have the pro-black perspective is during the week here has been talking about Niere for the last 2 days. Like those are conversations that we supposed to be having because there's something to learn from that. Was Niere perfect? I'm sure he wasn't. He was a socialist as well, but at least, but there's something in there. The guy did significant work. What can we learn from it? You know what I mean? What can we learn from it? So I see folks telling Jermaine Thompson to chill. No, let Jermaine Thompson talk because he's showing who he is. You understand? Just let him ride. You know. But yeah, so yeah, I consider us to be a form of new black media. I consider us to be positive. I consider us to be to really be the go-to folks when it comes to media, right? At least that's what I'm trying to build, and hopefully with the likes of yourself, Brother Bakari, the revolutionary matron Tanzan, and the others, we can get that there. So folks come over to where we are to really discuss stuff. Like this Jermaine Thompson guy, he should come on Shoot the Breeze on Saturday. come on, Shoot the Breeze as a panelist, and let's hear what you got to say amongst other people who have strong African minds. How about that? That's my challenge to Jermaine Thompson out there.
Right. And like I said, the program is about, media, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And number one, I've had plenty of people come on, you know what I'm saying? And it's interesting to me. That's why I'll be telling Bakari all the time, but I don't think he understands what a slippery slope is, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to tell you like who gets to determine what, but that's neither here nor there, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So anyway, when it comes to that, you know what I mean? Like, so like how, like, what do you plan on doing to like, make your channel like, or not your channel, but like your goal, you know what I mean? To like grow a media to where we eventually on our own platform, like, is that, I'm pretty sure that's a goal of yours, but like,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the idea is, right now, we got to face the reality that, YouTube is the number 2, I think. Yeah, the number 2 search engine, right? So YouTube is a tool that you have to use. There's also a bbtumi.com and .tv that we can do work on. But ultimately, what I want to do is create a site that we could have hosting our shows, and from that site have it on a server that's not in the US, so people can't really be messing with us too tough. And on that site, or from that site, have it linked to the apps, the Spotify's, the Apples, the Googles, this, that, and the other. So folks could go to a central place, KWAZ Radio, and hear your show. Like, what did you talk about this week? Or what did I talk about? Or what do we all talk about on Saturday Night Shoot the Breeze? So that's the step. That's what I'm working on right now. I'm trying to get African-centered web designers, web developers. I just reached out to, one of the listeners put me on to a brother who actually helps Obadale Camben with his site. And so I'm hoping to hear back from him soon. So that's the next step, is to be in a space where they can't really shut us down, or they'll have to go through some hoops to be able to shut down what we do, because we don't know how long this YouTube thing is going to be viable for us, right? And then another thing I want to get to as well, and I think this is important too, I think it's something that's greatly overlooked, man. All these Black folks, entrepreneurs, business owners, etc., and it's like we don't think about creating, economies and economics that benefit us. Like, I would like to see more Black businesses actually advertise through, what we're doing. And I'm talking about Black businesses across the diaspora. Once you're on the internet and you could ship out your products or services or whatever, to come to us and be, and let us be the ones to put your advertisements in front of the people. So I have that kind of dream for the future, and I'm working on it right now.
Yo, that's definitely a good idea. And there's a brother, Ben, that come on here, who's trying to create a channel and stuff, like, or not a channel, but his own platform, doing the same thing. And I would like to get like-minded people to do that. But like you see, a prime example, and every time you talk about something, it's difficult to get people to actually do what they have to do to get up out of it, because we see that the self-hatred has been so deeply ingrained within us, you know what I'm saying, like through all levels, you know what I mean, and it's through everybody, and media definitely has a huge part in that, you know what I'm saying, and being able to broadcast your message is definitely important and all of that kind of stuff. But I want you to kind of go into like, the history. What do you think about like, like the brainwashing and all of that kind of stuff, or the self-hatred, or what do you think it is,
Yeah, the enemy that we have is knowledgeable in these things, man. And we keep kind of falling for the okie doke. We keep kind of going for it. This guy this white guy, this white man that we have to go up against, he understands that you create a situation, then you toss a knife in the ring and let the folks in the ring, go at each other and kill themselves. Meanwhile, he's safe up in the stands watching this go on. And again, and it comes back to education at the end of the day. You got to get to people young. You see, like this guy, Jermaine Thompson in the chat, he to me, no disrespect to your viewers, but he to me is a lost cause. That's a grown man carrying on like that. You understand what I'm saying? We got to get to these kids and teach these kids that when you see another black man or woman, that is your extended family. You know what I mean? That is your extended family, and you move accordingly. You do what families do. Families quarrel sometimes, sure, but at the end of the day, you're still family. You still move together. You still build a future, etc. So that's the thing that I see, is that we allow this white guy to just toss that knife in the ring, and we just go at each other until the death. But then, like Brother Bakari mentioned earlier, have no smoke for the dude who threw the damn knife and who created the ring and put us in there in the first place. This is the problem I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And let me say this, first of all, let me say this, because Jermaine been coming here a long time, is definitely supportive. That's why, I definitely have, the people's back. You know what I'm saying? Now, whether I agree, I don't, you know what I'm saying? And like, if we're black first, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand, like, are we black first, And if I did have that white boy on here trying to get him to apologize to us, I don't know if you would be saying that. You know what I'm saying, Jermaine? But of course, you can have your freedom of speech or whatever, And look, that whole thing is designed for us to do. It was the light skin, dark skin thing. I mean, we still going through all of these issues, by the way,
Yes,
and this is just another one that we keep going through. You know what I mean? And it's a part of the media that does perpetuate it. And you know what I'm saying? And I do my part not to perpetuate it, because believe me, if I got on here and picked any cause and just banged on black people all day, I would not be shadow banned the way that I am. But I'm
right.
shadow banned because I have that smoke for the people who put us in this situation. And the thing is, if we're going to have to go to like Walmart, you know what I'm saying, I'd rather go to a black person, you know what I'm saying, a person who has like the, looks like me and all of that. You know what I'm saying? But like, as far as Jermaine, I don't go hard on Jermaine, because you know, it is what it is. But as far as like getting back to the media thing too, though, it's just like yo, what's going on, my good brother MD2? My good brother MD2 talks about how the media is used as a tool and a weapon. And let me say this, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, I don't hope you don't mind answering this. If I ask this question, Jermaine, you either gotta chill or stop with this, you know what I'm saying? And I will say that I agree that black people deserve reparations, but the bottom line is you are going to have to take it. And in the words of my brother MD2, are you willing to kill for it? Because that's the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? And propaganda is something that helps you get to that mind state. You know what I'm saying? And to
Absolutely.
be honest with you, I know that it's dead, because people our age is already done. If you're older than me, you're done already, but it's your children. You can't pass that down. And that's a part of the media, like you were saying earlier. But if you want to say anything to that, I don't have a specific question to that, or I can make one, but
Yeah, I saw Jermaine ask that question about reparations. Listen, I am all for repair. I'm all for repair. I just happen to also know that this white boy ain't for repair. And he ain't gonna give you no reparation unless you go and you take it from him. Now you have to be willing to do that. You have to be prepared to do that. How do you get that way? So we're talking about media a lot tonight, and for good reason. But I also want to point out that media is also tied to education, right? Um, how often do you see them talk about Gavi in the media, right? Why don't they talk about Garvey? Why don't they, they'll talk about MLK all day, right? But they won't talk about Garvey. Why is that? Because Garvey is not in the education program. So they're not going to talk about Garvey in the media. You see, they're not going to talk about Stokely Carmichael except to demonize them in the media, and they'll demonize them in the education. So these things go hand in hand. And so, when we see folks focusing on things like reparations as opposed to actually focusing on yourselves and your community, if reparations were to come, great. But what are you doing? What work are you doing within your communities? How are you battling the gang violence, right? How are you dealing with the opioid problem, going back as far as the crack days, right? What are you doing in your communities? Bakari talks about this all the time, what him and his pops and them did back in the day. What are you doing? Like Bakari always says, you ain't got to wait for no one else, essentially. Like what are you doing? And so what they have black folks doing, whether it be here in the States or in parts of the Caribbean or in parts of the continent, there are black folks sitting up talking about reparations, talking about cut the check. These silly little kind of slogans, these little catchphrases, because they treat black folks and they handle black folks like children, like small children. You know what I mean? So you get caught up in this little ball called reparations. But that reparation, that little ball, that's just to make you play around for a little bit. The real work is, what are you going to do as men in your community who's going to raise the next generation of people, as women who are the first teachers of children? What are you going to do? And that's the thing that I want the shows that we do, that you do, that I do, that Oni does, and everyone else who's involved in KWAZ Radio. It's about preparing the minds of our people to actually start doing some work, not waiting around for someone to come along and give us some handout. You know what I mean? That's where I am with that reparations thing. I think I may have forgotten a question you asked me there.
Well, no, it wasn't. Well, yeah, thank you for answering that. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. But anyway, I was talking about it was like, kind of like how we are put into this mind frame, like of this self-hatred thing. You know what I mean? And my good brother Rashid, that's what's going on, my brother. But yeah. So anyway, moving on to something else, to keep going with this whole media thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So earlier you was mentioning, you was about to go into the stuff you was talking about, and I was listening to some of your videos earlier too. Well, I've been listening to some of them for a while, like your reviews but I was listening today to like some of the stuff you had mentioned earlier, like Corey Holcomb and like the lessons to be learned and stuff like that. And it's weird because like even a lot of people don't really know who Zoe Williams is, and I think he, in my opinion, like, and I would ask you that last time, but it wasn't, I was just curious because I don't know if it was something for a reason, but I think he's like real smart. Not that he's not human, but yeah, you was about to go into that earlier, you know what I'm saying? So.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I had you had asked me this last week and I touched on it briefly. So for those who don't know, Corey Holcomb is a black comedian, funny guy. He has a show called 5150, and I used to be a big 5150 fan, largely because of the panel that Corey had. Corey is funny himself, sure, but the panel that he had, which included Zoe Williams, I forget my man from Tennessee, who's to push the keg in water. I forgot his name now, but like he had some people on there, Freeze Love and stuff like that. It used to be a really good show. Darlene Ortiz, who used to be married to Ice-T. She's on there as well. It used to be a really entertaining show and stuff like that. And Zoe Williams was the guy on there who used to bring a lot of intellectualism, a lot of philosophy. And a year ago or so, 2 years ago, so they had a falling out, a public falling out, over some stuff, some stupid stuff. But what happened is when that falling out happened, you were able to see how the guy Corey Holcomb, again, low energy type person, low energy person, uh, always in some beef, always in some nonsense. Like I said, right now he's in some stuff with the comedian Ryan Davis, always talking about who's a homosexual, real low energy type behavior. And you saw it come to a head when that Zoe Williams thing happened. And that's exactly the kind of thing I want to get away from. I want people to be able to see the nonsense and look away from the nonsense. Some people like to look at crashes, like car crashes and stuff, but no, we got to learn to say, oh, okay, so this is what y'all about. I'm done with that. We got to learn to wash our hands of situations. If it doesn't feed you, if it doesn't build you up, if it doesn't edify you, you know what I mean? You have to put it aside, right? So my hope, again, going back to the media thing, my hope is that when you guys tune in to the Pro-Black Perspective or the Bitter Medicine podcast or the Forecast, that you get something from it. I was listening to your show last night, and you and the brother at the end there was going on about who's black or not. But that's an important question, right? That's an important question because sometimes we move along and not ask questions like that. For example, I put up a community tab post where I asked, philosophically, who would you follow, Nyere or Nkrumah? And it was KW Don 7 who just came in and said peace to the chat. It was KW Don 7 who had to remind me, Nkrumah is a misogynist. This guy went and married a white woman from Egypt. If you look at his descendants, his lineage right now, it's completely whitewashed, right? And so it made me remember, oh yeah, this guy is confusion himself, confusion personified. But that's what I'm saying. Like these types of shows are supposed to expose the inconsistencies within yourselves, right? If you're black first, what does that really mean? Like you hear this guy in the chat, Jermaine and ADOS FBA, talking about black first. Well, what is black first really if I'm from the Caribbean, right? But I'm not black, right? You won't show a solidarity with me because somehow I'm not black like you are. And so it's the inconsistencies that I want to kind of draw out of people and have people realize, oh, my thinking is wrong. Again, Forecast, I credit you with this. The Brittany Griner situation, right? Most of us would say, listen, you're going to these people's countries, you shouldn't have this, that, and the other on you. And I still do believe that to a good extent. But at the end of the day, if I'm black first, I have to say, you know what? She was wrong for that shit, but guess what? Get her up out of it. You understand what I'm saying? And so I appreciate that kind of thing. And that's what I want, all of our shows to kind of do is kind of like expose the contradictions within ourselves, because it's the contradictions within ourselves, I believe, that's what's keeping us back.
Hey, Coco, and this is a sidebar question, but just your opinion. Do you think black people are black first?
No.
Well, even the people who say black first, do you think they are black first?
I think they think they're black first. I don't think they recognize the inconsistencies. And that's the thing, this, again, it goes back to what I talked about, our realities. I don't think folks really, really think through a lot of the topics or imagery or actions that they see around them. You know what I mean? If I had thought it through before I put up that community tab with Nyere and Nkrumah, I wouldn't have put that up. You understand what I'm saying? Because I would have thought it through and be like, wait a minute, this guy here, Nkrumah, didn't even respect himself enough to have black children and thusly black grandchildren, etc., right? I wouldn't even put him up there. But because we only focus on philosophies or what have you, or skin color or whatever, we don't see the inconsistencies within ourselves. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. So I think a lot of people are black first. They believe that they're black first, but they're not tackling the inconsistencies within themselves.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. A lot of us, and I include myself in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm human, like everybody else, and that's the thing that I think a lot of us don't do when we talk about other people. You know what I'm saying? I included myself because we all have some level of, I call it black syndrome, to not start an argument. But that will start another argument. And to me, we could call ourselves, the musketeers or whatever, the planeteers. I don't care, as long as we on page doing business together to where we controlling our own destiny. But even like words get the best of us. Um, no, I did not ask you, Bakari. No, I'm joking, my brother. But that's what I'm saying, though. But are we black first? You know what I'm saying? Or are we sexuality first? You know what I'm saying? Because that's another thing that I can ask a bunch of questions, and then people will start. See, it's the questions that you can ask to see what people, because especially when you hear them talk, if you pay attention to them. And this is a part of media, because we are on here talking, and I leave it up. Everything I say, you know what I'm saying? This is a part of media. And if you listen to people talk, and especially if you're studied, you will see where they get their talking points from. And if you ask them certain questions, then all of a sudden, are they really black first? Because I can ask certain questions right now, which I'm not going to do. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like, protecting ourselves on here and being able to link at the same time, do you think there's an answer for that? And also, if anything I said made you say something, like
Yes.
protecting ourselves on here?
So I wanted to touch on something real quick. That's the understanding I had to come to with the LGBTQRSUV group, right? Is I wish the Africans who were under that label, I wish they would be black first, right? And we supposed to be black first when it comes to them as well. And that's, again, this is something that a lot of these understandings come from listening to thought pieces from others, right? Listening to serious discourse and self-study too, right? Doing your own studying as well. And so that's the thing I want folks to understand. Like, I see the pro-black perspective just put up something that he says, yeah, I was at the playground and the black kids approached me and I let them play with my toys. I didn't ask what country they were from. They're black. They're my people. And that's what I want us to be on. To use a term that Tracy is using in the chat, you have to examine yourself. You have to examine yourself. And that's what that's what the shows that I identify, and I've been fortunate to be able to bring on KWAZ Radio so far, with intentions of bringing more once we get this website and stuff going, is the shows that will have you examining yourself. Because that's what we need. We need to really look within ourselves and see, where did we fuck up? Because we messed up. And what is it about us that caused these problems that have us in this situation? We have to always be self-examining. I don't know if there was another question I was supposed to answer there. Maybe I forgot.
Yeah, I was saying, and it's dangerous. Like when we on here, especially when you just on live and stuff, you have to watch what you say, because people don't think that people are listening. And another thing people don't realize, like, a lot of times people bear their hearts out on like Facebook comments and stuff like that, or YouTube comments, because they think they can hide behind something. And the stuff that they're saying is actually probably their real sentiments. And on here, when people are listening to us, they come into our chat rooms. There's a lot of people I'm telling you right now, because I don't want to waste a lot of time. I'm gonna ask you after. I got like 2 questions, and then I'm I will ask you if you want to put the link in the chat, but there's a lot of people listening right now, and I don't know which way it'll go, you know, and I can control it if you like, but you know,
no, I'm open to yeah, you could drop the link. I'm open to again, I'm more so a listener than a talker actually. So I'm more so I study, right? I listen and I study more than I actually speak. But yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. Let me because I got two questions. You know what I'm saying, and
Go
and
for it.
and that's why I asked you to come on here because I do notice that you don't really, but you know a lot of stuff, but you don't really say much. So I wanted to find out what you know, and if there's any jewels, you can say that because I really want to just ask you, like, well, what do you know? But that wouldn't be right. But anyway, so like as far as what I was saying, like, yo, you people bear their hearts out on this, and I say all the time that I'm not telling you nothing no different than George Washington told America, and they put his face on the mountain. You know what I'm saying? And anybody telling me protecting myself is wrong, then the problem is with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I would say on my channel that a Polish kike bitch keeps giving me strikes on, you know what I'm saying, who's in charge of this stuff, that you know, if I call J. Edgar Hoover a faggot and you got a problem with me using the word faggot, then the problem is with you.
Right.
And if I say I'm not going to debate about black people being killed because it's disrespectful, and you cannot kill me. We deserve to be able to protect ourselves. And if you're telling me that's wrong, that's against your own laws, by the way. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the question is, like, how do you think that we can protect ourselves, or do you have any ideas or like any suggestions on how we could protect ourselves on here, saying this kind of stuff we say, or do you think you just gotta risk it if you want to put yourself out there?
Yeah. We've seen examples in the past of people talking a little too much and getting themselves in a problem. I'll say what my grandfather used to tell us, man. He used to tell us, you talk some and you leave some. You don't spill all the beans. Don't get on here being super rah-rah and giving these people the excuse to hem you up in some bullshit. But you know, you can also be strong too. There's a way to be strong without giving it all away. You could be strong. You could speak up. We have the right. We have freedom of speech. We have the right to speak up and speak strongly about and passionately about what's going on with us. And so we should do that. But the nitty gritty, the real conversations, we need to have those in private. And this is why, this is why you have to be organizing yourselves into real life organizations. The internet is cool for transmission of information and, like I said, for thought pieces and stuff like that. But when you get to that real conversation, you have to have that behind closed doors.
Yeah, I agree. It's just behind the closed doors, it'd be like 7 people, but you know, it's better than 6, I guess. You know,
Exactly.
right?
You build with what you have. But again, I want to be clear. You can be strong. You don't have to be a weakling. You could be strong. Just like what you do, what Brother Bakari does, owning Tanzan. You know, you speak your piece. If you're talking about being revolutionary, be revolutionary. You ain't got to be a punk about it. But the real information, the real nitty gritty stuff, you try to organize that behind closed doors.
Yeah, I agree. So the last questions I'll ask you, so we can get through this, because we're not gonna be on here all night, like, because you know I'm gonna try to be regular tonight, you know.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so to like the last question now. This is about a video that I was listening to earlier, and it was about the alt-right. I don't know how long ago you did it, but you remember that?
The Charlottesville?
It was Charlottesville.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Now, I'm from Virginia, you know what I'm saying? And let me tell you this, you know, Virginia is a place where you don't want, if you're not strapped, you don't want to stop until you get to Charlottesville to use the bathroom. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
There's some hills have eyes type stuff out there. Now, the question about the video though, now, and I agree with you. Let me say that first. Now you said like I'm talking about like Richard Spencer, and I agree with what he said. You know what I'm saying? And I would say I would have one disagreement in that I wouldn't say that because I understand what he's doing. I wouldn't necessarily big them up. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Like for my example would be like Joe Biden, his crime bill speech, right? I would never big up Joe Biden, but you know what? You know what he said in that crime bill speech? Man, I don't care why they are like they are. I don't care if they have been doing this for a particular reason. I just know that my mom and my drug addict son is in danger. And you know what I say? I don't say, Biden is right, Biden is whatever. I say, you know what? I know they have hurt me, my people. I don't care why they are psychopathic. I don't care why they want to kill us. I don't care why. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with what your thesis though. Yo, it is though, MD2. But I agree with your thesis because I do the same thing. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, what do you think about that though?
Well, wait. First, did you think I was bigging up Richard
No,
Spencer?
not big enough, not big enough. It's I know I'd be stretching it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say big enough. I wouldn't give them credit or anything. For me, it would be trolling though. So like, you were being more educational, but I was just an interesting video that I saw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The thing with Richard Spencer and them, that I wish, and again, I don't intend to big up a Richard Spencer and them, but the thing I wish black folks would understand is what Richard Spencer said. I think in that episode I played a clip of an interview he did. If it wasn't that one, it was one around that time, where Spencer them said, "Dude, I don't care about fair. You see, all the reparations talk, that's about being fair. These white folks don't care about being fair. These white folks care about winning. And I want black folks to be on that too, right? If you be one, then be one. Be about winning. You know what I mean? So I think that might be the kind of, I guess, quasi big up I gave him, in that, yeah, he revealed to the public how these folks really think. And if you're a listening and a thinking person, you're supposed to take that information and do something with it. Like forecast. When you hear Richard Spencer say, "We don't care about fairness. We just want to win," what does that put in your brain?
That I want to win.
You gotta have to want to win too.
There's no such thing. Right and wrong is in the eye of the beholder, is what that means.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So we have to be about winning now. It's winning time. To quote Magic Johnson. We are in the fourth quarter now. We gotta be about winning something now. And we can't be out here on this kind of limp-wristed, well, like, it ain't fair what y'all doing. They know it ain't fair. They're trying to win. What are you trying to do? So that's my take on that. In terms of Richard Spencer and them. And thank you for going back and listening to that. I thought that was one of my better episodes back in the day, before I started reading the papers and stuff like that. And I hope it got out to more people, and I hope it will get out to more folks. I hope some of your listeners will go back and look up that video and check it out. Like the Pro-Black Perspective said, fairs are for tourists, right? There was something else I was just going to say, and I just lost the thought. Do you have another question for me before we open it up to the panel?
No. Well, no. I mean, if you want to say anything, because like I said, this is really because I want, MB2, Bakari, Learning Curve, only everybody come on here to Tanzan, you know what I'm saying, to ask questions about the media, something that we may have overlooked or anything like that. But I do want you to say, what do you know, Koku?
Well, I know I'll be on Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For shameless plug. I'll be on with the Saturday night.
Hey, that's been the theme lately, man. Don't be apologetic anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
feel you.
there's no shame in it.
Yeah. So Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Shoot the Breeze segment of the Bitter Medicine podcast. It's a like I said, it's not a talk show, it's a thought show. So come through again to Jermaine Thompson. All that talk you're doing in the chat here, all that finger wagging you do, you come through and let's have a discussion. You know, usually I just moderate the show. In the past few months, I kind of just moderate, but you come through, we'll talk, right? You know, so anyone who wants to come through and check out. And by the way, I want to shout out to Erica Howard too. I was surprised. You know, I haven't known her that long. I've known her as long as I've known you and Brother Bakari. I know her from the chat. She came on Shoot the Breeze once, and she had a very, very fire energy, and I appreciate that. So I hope that she has a full recovery, man. Shout out to her. But yeah, so come through for that. In the fall, I'll probably be back to doing at least one show during the week, like in the middle of the week, and still do Shoot the Breeze as well. And make sure to check out the KWAZ Radio YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to that and subscribe to all the other shows on KWAZ Radio.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I'm gonna put the link in the chat. You know what I'm saying?
And just so people know too, yeah, drop the link because I wouldn't mind to Tanzan or Oni or someone to hop on too. Just so folks know, because I don't know if you guys know, I'm sure a lot of you guys who follow the forecast, you also follow Brother Bakari, and those guys are now with us as well. They're part of the podcast network that we have. So make sure you guys are supporting, man. Support all the shows. It's worth it too. It's worth it too.
Yeah, and let me say this, you know what I'm saying? Learning is irrelevant, you know what I'm saying? You can go there, and I think we talked about that last time, you know what I'm saying, between an ally and a tool, you know what I'm saying? You can learn something. You could be the spook who sat at the door, even if you went to the, I wouldn't do it, you know, but if you did, I wouldn't be like, yo, what the hell, you're crazy, you know what I'm saying? What did you come back and you learn? And, you know, there's a brother who comes on here who many would say, you know what I'm saying, Bakari would have to probably take out himself. Okay. But he does training courses for Black people, for women, you know what I'm saying? Learning is a skill that you can learn from anybody at any time, during any circumstances, you know what I'm saying? But you have to get out of your emotion. And one thing that Black people are is emotional, but I'm not saying your emotions are there for a reason. You're mad because you're sad because you are smarter than you, if you get what I'm saying. And your emotions are there to tell you that it's something different. And that's the thing that may separate you. But it's also our paradox because it gets us in trouble.
Okay. You had cut out for a second there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was like, yo, emotions is the same thing that gets us in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Because we get too emotional that we can't learn because we are in our emotions at a certain time. But don't never forget your emotions because that will make you a psychopath. That's the difference. And the emotions can lead you to a different type of intelligence, right? If you use it as a tool. Koku, my good brother MD2 came on, so I want to hear if he got a question. What you got to say, my brother? What's going on, MD2?
Hey, peace. It was great seeing you on the live stream earlier there, Brother Forecast. And I'm really enjoying listening to your guest tonight. Man, oh man.
Thank you.
Koku, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
And I can, and the same goes to you, Brother Forecast. What is your determination? What is media? That's the first question. The second thing is, what is media used for? And the third question is there any such thing that could be determined as Black media? So, I just want to ask you those questions.
That's some good questions. Media is just communication, right? Media is mass communications. There's different forms of, or different, what they call it again, channels to communicate. This is one way: audio, visual. There's print, and and there's others. But this is I think most people like audio visual as opposed to reading. So I think this is an effective way of communicating. Is there a black media? There's people who call themselves black media, and I'm not even talking about the Tariq and them. Roland Martin calls himself New Black Media, but we all know Roland Martin. We know we know who his overlords are, right? He's working for the Democrats. He's trying to get a job with those guys, get a fixture with those guys, right? The things that media, the purpose for media is, without a doubt, is just to communicate your propaganda, right? Communicate propaganda, be it patriotic propaganda, be it emotional, something to stir up some emotions or whatever. That's all it is,
I'm loving that. Oh, thank you so much for because I see myself in you, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Brother Forecast, same question.
The first one was, what is media? I think Koku did a great job answering that one. Is communication. What was the second question?
What is it used for? I believe that like I'm trying to find the uses.
Well, it's used for a multitude of reasons. It's used to sell products. It's used to display information. It's used to take kids' minds. It's used to, link up and form militias. It's if you're going to storm the Capitol, it's used to argue on. It's used for all different type of reasons. It's whatever you pick. And is there black media? Yes, there is, because we're black and we are doing media right now. We all in different places having a great. This is the beauty of the internet level in the playing field, because we can pick a time and day that all of us can meet. They may follow us, they may not. I'm not as worried about people infiltrating, because, like, for real, if you go on the code doing what you're supposed to do, who going to infiltrate? What they going to do? Donate more money to you? Like, going to shop at your store? But anyway, yeah, I would say that,
Man,
By the way,
I appreciate it.
By the way, MG2, I appreciate you too, man. I've heard you on the Forecast a couple of times now, and I appreciate your. And first of all, I appreciate your name, MG2. I think I heard someone say that means Marcus Garvey 2. I appreciate that. I appreciate your reasoning. Yes. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that too.
Oh, thanks. And I'll tell you guys my determination of media. You guys hit some points, but I'll tell you later in the program. And I'll go ahead and pass the mic.
Okay, that's all you want to say, MV2?
Yeah, I'll tell you in a minute. I just wanted to hear some more perspective.
Okay. What up, Bukari?
Bukari.
What's going on? What's going on, Coco? What's up, MG2, my big brother?
Hotep there, man.
Do I sound any better?
Yeah, you do. Like I said, when I talked to you on the phone, your voice was scratchy, but it was a lot better yesterday.
Oh, okay. I got to sound better. Oni came on. What's going on? But look.
Peace, bro.
What up, Oni?
This is a question I would want to ask Coco, right? Yeah. And I guess it can go around because everybody up. I don't know how to run it now. But haven't you heard? This is the thing I hear people talk about on, and there's some forecast just said. This is the thing on social media, black social media, YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. You heard the term "get on code," right?
Yes, sir.
What do you think is better, trying to get on code or trying to live by a code?
I think live by a code is better. I think live by a code is better. But you see, this is the thing, right? Like the code, you always have to be editing what this code is, because you have to start from where it is you want to arrive at, like where it is you want to be, and then the code informs you on how to get there. I hope I made sense with that explanation.
Yeah, you made sense. To me, I always say it's a difference in. I say you get on a bus, right? If you were standing at the bus, y'all live in New York. Y'all know about people getting there at the bus stop, wait to get on the bus, right?
Absolutely.
So when we say get on code, right? Let's say a black man is supposed to protect a black woman. But if you don't live by that code, where you see, if that's not in you, and you don't live by that, where you see white person beating up a black woman, a white man beating up a black woman, or Asian slapping a black woman, right? If you don't live by that code, I think it would be impossible just to say all of a sudden, you know what? I'm gonna get in here and stop this. That is something you'd have to have a code we have to live by. And I'm not talking about Neely Fuller code, because that's what most people talk about, Neely Fuller's code, and I don't want to be on none of his codes. That's just me. But yeah, that's what I wanted to ask about the about, oh, and one more thing, right? What does B1? Because I hear people say that all the time. I don't use the term B1 to represent me, nor do I use the word conscious or woke for a lot of different reasons. But to you,
Do you call people Tyrone?
yeah, if his name Tyrone,
Why?
because that's his name. I don't have to if his name
B1 just the name?
Tyrone. I say
I'm
if his
sorry,
name,
my bad, Bukari, go ahead.
I say if his name Tyrone, I'm gonna call him Tyrone. But see, you made me forget the question.
Well, you asking what was B1, and I'm gonna tie it. I'm gonna try to tie it to the question you asked me before too. So again, like I say, I try to look at realities and how we live in our own reality. I have an outlook that if I see an Asian man beating a black woman as a black person, my instinct should be that's a stranger taking advantage of one of my people. You know what I mean? I think there's certain things that's supposed to be a given. So okay. So I'll tie it back to something. The Forecast did this great episode where he was trying to see if people were really black first, right? And he gave certain examples. If a black guy did this, that, and the other, or whatever. Like for example, like Brittany Griner, right? A lot of black folks will say she shouldn't take her black ass over there with this stuff in her belongings, et cetera, right? But my thing is, like, there is, to me, there is a natural response, right, that I think everyone is supposed to have. I think the same way dogs look out for dogs and birds look out for birds, black folks should look out for black folks. So I think there's a natural order or natural code, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's something else I don't. Yeah, I saw what Mr. Untouchable, but I don't say black first. I don't say B1 either. I'm race first. I know it come from a derivative, like he said, a derivative of Marcus Garvey saying race first. I don't say black first because the people that use black first tend to only talk about black people from the United States.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm truly race first. Don't care where you're from. Now I pass the mic.
Oh, can I ask a question now?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wait. Okay. All right. Yeah. So since this is Forecast show, I'll ask you then, Koku. What's the most outrageous thing you've heard white folk have done recently, and how much dialogue have you heard around that? About that outrage. Like, what's the most outrageous thing that they've recently done, and what do you think? Is it overrepresented in this new black media? Is it underrepresented? Like, and why do you think it's either of those?
Now that's a great question. Here's the thing for me. The thing for me is, and I've had to learn that, again, iron sharpens iron. I've had to learn this perspective, no pun intended, this perspective from just talking and listening and studying. To be honest with you, I don't really look at what white folks do anymore. They have this war. I mean, you can't miss it. They have this war going on in the Ukraine, right? Which to me, that type of shit is outrageous. But I'm supposed to feel bad for Ukrainians who are rabid Nazis and whatnot? Please.
Oh, well, I meant, like, what's the worst thing they've done recently to us? My fault.
Oh, to black folks?
Yeah. Because I realized you right. They are some one. I'm just like, I don't give a
fuck. Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I can't really think of something they've done to us directly, like an event type thing. I mean, the mass shootings or whatever. You know, but the reality of whiteness, really, especially in America, is that every day these guys are fine tuning laws and protocols and whatnot to kind of subdue and oppress black folks. So to me, every day they're doing something. My thing is, no one in black media really talks about these things, whatever these things are, however big or small they are. No one really focuses in and talks about it. Again, I was watching Roland Martin the other day, and the way this guy defends the Biden administration and stuff is just, it's just ridiculous to me, you know. But no one, well, some people call him out on it, but for the most part, no one really calls him out about it. You know what I mean? So, to answer your question, I can't think of anything, eventful that happened recently. But all I know is that these folks are always strategizing against us. And most of our talking heads are not talking about these actions, these strategies and stuff that's being enacted upon us.
So why do you think that is?
I think a part of it is that I think in America in particular, in the world in general, I think black folks just kind of accepted it. We just kind of accepted it, and we just trying to find our little soft corner to lay up in. Because again, I've said this on Shoot the Breeze and stuff before. The thing about life is that once you are aware of something, you have to act on it, right? Only you have a son. If you become aware that I was beating up on your son, what are you going to do with that information? You have to act on that, right? You have to come for my neck once you learn that stuff. And that's the thing that we're not doing. So a lot of it is we don't talk about a lot of the real stuff because that allows us not to act on it, right? It's a kind of a lazy type of way that we've, I guess, have become.
All right. Yo, let me. You done on it?
No, I just heard his bro's phone call going off. Cupcake. All right, never mind. Yeah, I'm done.
No, that wasn't me. I don't know what.
What you say? You doing on the cake and he caking?
Yeah, you're like a middle of the night. I'm talking about it wasn't him.
Yeah, I hope we ain't messing you up over there, Coco.
Nah.
All right. Oh, look. Hey, Ben is in the back. I can't add. I ain't upgraded this joint. I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't paid for it.
Why can't you add it, man? You supposed to have up to 10 people.
No, I can only get. It said the little studio limit is 6 people on.
Okay, I'll step down. So
I was gonna step down. All right, but all right, back.
No. I mean, well, y'all. Well, if you do, I want Ben to come up on because he's also doing the thing. But if y'all have anything to say, I don't want y'all to just leave.
No, because I think they need to hear about what being Ugo have and what he's doing. I think that's very important. That's why I say I step down. The more people know about it, the more people can get involved, the more people can help.
All right, Bakari. Well, come back up, and then I guess we'll rotate.
I'm anyway. Forecast for the record, I'm helping you out right now. I don't have to beat you up since I'm leaving.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
You don't get beat up tonight.
Yeah, I know. All right, so what's going on, Tanzan? I'm sorry. How you doing?
I'm good, chilling as always.
Tanzan's always waiting for us. How are you today, Tan?
I'm very good. Great discussion. It was good just listening. I have a quick question about what you're talking about earlier regarding the code. What is the code? Where can I find it? Who wrote it? And how can we follow and get on it?
Yeah, I think I think the code just derives from being race first. Personally, I think how we represent one another, how we deal with one another, we should keep in our minds that we're Africans first. We're black first. We're black people. Black equals African people. I think that's really, and I think everything else should derive from that. We're race first, and our determination is for self-determination and power. And I think everything else falls underneath that.
Okay, fair enough. Focused.
Oh, that's all you wanted to ask, Tanzan?
Yes, to start.
Okay.
She's
Okay.
coming
Yeah.
back.
I was just saying, because I don't know. So, all right, what's going on, Ben? And Ben is another brother trying to create his own platform. So, yo, you there, Ben? Oh no, Ben is mute now.
While we wait for Ben to come in, can I just say this too? Earlier, I think you had started to ask me about protection, and I meant to. I kind of lost track. I meant to mention, one of the things every Black person should be interested in is finding how to arm themselves, man. I had Maj Toure on my show before, and kind of disappointed in the numbers that he got, considering, who he is and the work that he's doing. But we need to really start rethinking our stances on protecting ourselves. You talked about Virginia. You don't stop driving till you hit Charlottesville or something like that. Like, we really need to get back on that, and we need to challenge the laws in to use Mr. Untouchable's thing. We have to throw the stone sometime. We got to challenge these laws in these areas in the states for as long as we're going to be here for. We got to challenge these laws that kind of prevent us from being able to arm ourselves. We definitely have to get on that to protect our communities too. I hope Ben is there now.
Yeah, and by the way, there is one good way to do that, and that would be just to go out there and do it. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what, it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying. Because and Virginia is an open carry state, so I guess I could say that. But yo, Ben, are you there? All right. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna let Ben go down. If you come back on, just let me know. I'm gonna let you back up on, so the other spot could come up. Bakar, you can come up, or whoever can come up. Now
Where's
we gonna go
Jermaine?
around, huh?
Where's Jermaine Thompson? Come on,
Well, look, y'all gotta chill. Like, y'all gotta go easy on Jermaine. It's just a favor for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, okay.
But
I'll
like, I get. Now, I'm not saying don't censor yourself at all. But I'm just saying, just keep in mind, just as a favor to me. You know what I'm saying? Ben, Jermaine is cool. You know what I mean?
Mr. Untouchable gave the advice, so he said, read Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. Start there when you talk about code, and I agree with that too.
Yeah, and I would say to answer that, because I wanted to answer that too. Before you can live by that code, you first got to get on it. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't living it if you ain't living on it, so you got to get on it to live on it. So we're gonna go with MG2, and then Oni Tanzan and whoever will come back up. So Bakar, you can come back up if you want to add something too. But go ahead, MG2.
Yeah, I'm just loving the discussion. TZ, it's always good to see you. Oh, Tanzan, I just love you guys' knowledge. One of the things first off, I have to answer Oni, because Oni had asked a very pertinent question. I think that might help us out, kind of determine where things are at. And Oni had asked, what have Europeans done outrageous, and recently? And I have to say, from experience that I've seen, the most outrageous thing they've done, especially today, is they woke up. Okay, they woke up breathing. So to me, that's about the most outrageous thing. If I could wake up and one day I find out that they're not breathing, then the outrageous thing is gone. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you guys in terms of media, and I don't want to take up too much space, so I'll go ahead and drop off after this, and maybe come back on and tell you what I think of media is. One of the things that I wanted to ask, Koku, and I wanted to ask, what is the number one thing that Black folks can do to, one, either create and control all aspects of media? And when I say all aspects, I'll give you kind of a hint of what I want to delve in later on in the program when I come back on. I want to tell you, media is not just getting on someone else's technology and using, because I always say media is a megaphone. It's a military tool, a social engineering tool, a teaching tool. We had our own media when we were, communicating with drums back in Africa. So media is even with the way our families interact where nobody knows what we're saying outside the family. We had our own internal media. So media is definitely a militaristic tool. Everything that encompasses everything. But one thing that I'm going on my tangent. But one thing I like to say is media is an all-encompassing thing, from the technology you use, like the phones, the computers. If you don't own and control or operate or manage or innovate all the aspects of what this megaphone called media is, then therefore it might be, I'm not saying it is, it might be a misnomer to use that term, black media. So, but anyways, if it is a misnomer, I'm not saying it is, even though I have my own opinions. If that is, what would you say are two of the most important things that Black, African, us as a people can have to make sure all aspects of media are in our control? So we're not worried about what we say in someone else's program. We can say and do whatever we want, whether we want to blow up a building or whether we want to invent a new way of curing colds. What would you say are the two most important things we can do to go ahead and make sure that we have our own media, all-encompassing media? And on that, I'll go ahead and drop off so Brother Bakari can come back in, and I'll come back later in the program.
Hey, MG2, before you go, I want to say, you probably I would say you and Raw probably the most unapologetic more than me, and you can stay on here, you know what I'm saying, and only you can come back if you have a question or anybody, we'll rotate it, you know what I'm saying. I want y'all to stay on here, but yeah, so but yeah, y'all can do whatever y'all want though, but yeah, go ahead, Coco. You can answer that question.
At the risk of sounding redundant, because it's something I say all the time, and even I'm kind of tired of saying it in a sense. I don't know if I have the two things, but I'll say this. You have to steadily point out what you're lacking, right? You have this problem and it needs a solution, right? So you have this problem with media. You have this problem with your ability to speak freely because you're on another man's platform. So obviously you need to build your own platform. But how do you build your platform? That's a process, right? And I always take it back to education, which is the redundancy that I was talking about. It's a process, though. You have to be out here talking to the people enough, showing them this problem that we have, showing them, hey, I think it was Oni from the pro-Black perspective. He had an episode of his show, I think, removed or something, or strike, because he showed a video that they claim had violence in it. Now, I've shown videos that have depicted some violence in them, and nothing happened. But it just shows you, because he's nearing monetization on his channel, that they started to do stuff like that, right? You got to show people these problems, and you gotta create a space where people could bring their heads together and try to come up with a solution to that. We've fallen so behind, unfortunately, that we have much work to do. These guys have cables running on the ocean floor and all kind of stuff, carrying internet and all kind of stuff like that. And what are we doing? We're here twiddling our thumbs, right? We got to get to folks to become the engineers, to become the scientists, the researchers, the this, to that, the other, to address this problem. That's what I could say off the top of my head right now about that issue. Forecast, what do you think about that?
Well, how could we get it out there more?
Yeah, how can we get around the fact that we're on someone else's platform? The internet, YouTube, and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, look, let's be real. It's like, how can you get the rain to go back in the sky? You just use it as a tool. The rain comes down and you let it be the power or whatever. You use water for the purpose of water. You use this tool for the purpose of this tool. I would not know Koku. I would not know Tanzan. I would not know Ben. I would not know Bakari if it wasn't for this platform, which gives me the ability to, number one, meet y'all in person or get together and do something. It's not necessarily getting around it. It's using it for what it's there for. You know what I'm saying? Now, that don't mean put all your business out here. You know what I'm saying? Put all of this other stuff. It's there for you to learn from, Like, you use it instead of trying to get around it. Like, the things that exist, and stop wishing they don't exist. You know what I'm saying? And the things that is here. You use it for whatever you decide that you want to use it for. Now the thing is, like Bakari says, you got to live by code. We got to make this decision about what we want to do, who we identify ourselves as, because guess what, y'all, we got the ability to self-define ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And this gives us the ability to communicate. You know what I'm saying? No matter who built it is here now. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know, we can argue about who built it. And you know what? There's a time and place for that. And maybe it would be great. We can argue about history when we in our own labs and our own colleges and stuff. We can debate, have the ADOS FB, and I'll be the first one in this crowd saying my opinion, like, no, hell no, you wrong, hell no, you wrong. But for now, until we do that, let's just use what's available to us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know, I hope that answers the question. I don't know if anybody want to do. Ben is back. Are you Ben? Are you there? So y'all keep that in.
Yes, I am. How y'all doing?
Good night. How are you?
Welcome, Ben.
What's going on?
I got a question. What do you guys think about going back to fan base?
Is there? I mean, there's a time and place for everything. Koku, Tanzan? Are you? Well, I know Tanzan is familiar with fan base. Koku, you know a fan base?
Mr. Untouchable put me on to it. I tried to register on there, and it wouldn't upload my videos and all that stuff. So I haven't been back there. So I'm not very familiar with it. I haven't really been on the platform and stuff like that. So I yield to you guys.
Bakari, I think Bakari is the most qualified to answer this question. Or Tanzania.
I don't even go to fan base no more. I peep in there just to see who got them. Man, them the most toxic people I ever met in my life. Ben, forget fan base. You got to build up your stuff. How about that? That's what we got to invest in, because I can't do that.
I'm working on it, man. I've been working and working. There's some things that are messed up right now. Financial stuff messed up. So I'm trying as much as I can to keep you guys very updated, but I am trying to reboot everything and start it all over. But it's coming back. I just haven't had a chance to email you or even talk to you guys about the situation. But I will. But are we gonna have that meeting again?
Yeah. Well, we had one the last time. Shouts out, like I know, and we'll talk about this stuff offline. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have one real soon, especially what's going on with Erica. You know what I'm saying? But also, we need to start making moves. You know what I'm saying, for real. But like we've been saying all day, some things are better left unsaid on here. You know what I'm saying? Except for times and places. It's a tool for everything, but it's a tool, but it's not a tool for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't use every tool for every job. You know what I mean? So
so Bakari, what was the things that you were talking about? Some of the toxic people at fan base.
Yeah, I think the better question would be why is like, how can we prevent that from happening again, or making your platform toxic? You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that, Ben?
I bet we talk about 5 people like you guys that are like-minded and only let them on the show.
All right. Well, y'all got anything to say about that, Koku?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that platform, but I see how similar, I guess, social media platforms work with toxicity. It's kind of hard to keep some folks out of the mix, to be honest. So I'm not sure how you would even do that. But it's definitely something to, I guess, strive for, to try to get just the positive folks involved. That's something to strive for.
Yeah. Tanzania, you got any opinions on it?
In terms of the media, I think you said it, that we're supposed to be using their tools to create our own. So what we have right now, this would be a good start, but we definitely need our own. We started with fan base. I was on it for a bit, but I lost contact when I was traveling, and it's been difficult trying to get back in. But you can't keep everybody out, but you can have like maybe some restrictions or some ways of voting or keeping it private or things like that. I'm not sure how, but yeah, I'm grateful for the tools that we have for, you know, even being able to meet and talk to people like this. So we use their tools to transcend the whole spatial barrier, and also, you know, to overcome the time. But also we should not just limit it to this, because like I always say, we won't always have this. Right now we take it for granted and it's free and it's there, but these things, you know, if things become too powerful or too great, either they will monetize it or they will restrict it very much, which they're already doing. So I think that we are in the heydays, and we've started well. We've made connections, and you make connections outside. You use all the tools that we have. If it's, you know, you start online, you go email, you go, you know, talking, phone calls, meeting, organizing, building, you know, centers, and, you know, you continue. So I think that we almost have to start from scratch again, because we didn't maintain what was started, that building of bridges, and we somehow just, you know, left them unfinished. So we sort of have to scratch all over again and go through all the thorns and bushes and so on before we come to the clearance. But yeah, that's all.
Okay, okay. All right, Bakari, you want to have anything to say about that, or what MG2 was saying, like about ways around it? And by the way, you know, I want you to kind of mention that ham radio stuff you talk about too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, you talking about the media? This is my thing, right? I would say we don't have a black media. Uh, we can, and the reason I say that, right? And I'm gonna tell you, man. And my brother was messing me. Man, you don't like nobody. That's what he tell me. But I don't say I'm a media because I don't want to deal with the people. I don't want to be put in the same category as the people that call themselves black media. I'm being honest. It's divisive. It could be used as a. We could use it like media, but we're gonna have to work, and it would take money to do the things that we truly need to do. And I do believe that, and I agree with you when you say use YouTube as a tool, right? We could use it as a tool until we build our own, until, let's say, Ben get off the ground, right? We have to use this while it's here. So while it's here, we can create a media, but those people that's calling themselves new black media, really, if you think about it, what do they show? They get news clips like I get, like we get, and show the news clips, right? So when you're the media, when I say it's going to take money, we have to be in those places out there doing interviews, right? We have to, if it's somewhere in your area, I'm gonna give you an example. When they went out to when Rashard Brooks was murdered here in Atlanta at the Wendy's, the night that they burned the Wendy's down, I was down there, right? I actually have a interview with one of those, and I'm not saying anything special, but with one of those Antifa white people on my channel. I think it's only like 5 minutes, right? But he was the one that I could catch. And I asked him questions about Antifa. Why you here? And they talking about they want to end racism and they want to show unity. So I said, if you want to show unity, why aren't your people talking about giving up that money that they got off the back of my people for free? So, then the conversation went a little left. He got a little upset. I'm like, look, man, they don't need to get upset. They don't need to get upset. I'm just asking you some questions. But I'm saying we have to be there. We can't wait to CNN put it on the news, then clip it. That's all I'm saying, right? And put it on our channel. And you notice I never show any of them on my channel anymore. I will play it. Like I was doing one, only was like, we can't even see, we don't know who that is talking. And I know it because I only play. And the reason being because I had a couple of my videos removed because I used a clip of someone, what's his name? Lord Jamal, where he was okaying the channelman to use the N-word. And I said something about it. Right. And he complained. It was from Vlad, him or Vlad, one of them. They complained. And then another one, and somebody else complained. So I just play it, right? So, but when we have our own media and we go to them, and and they want to come to us, so then they can't complain and say, have them take that down. No, because it's ours, and we control it, and we control the propaganda, and we control the narrative. If I wanted to do propaganda just to talk how bad black people is, and to show separation between me and, let's say, Koku, you from the Bahamas, right, Koku?
Yeah.
And if anybody ever get the opportunity to go to Bahamas in July for the Jungle New Festival, I promise you ain't gonna want to come back. But but anyway, right? So, but that's what we need to be doing for media. But it's gonna take work. It's gonna take time, and it's gonna take money. I think the work and the time might be more important than the money. It might sound crazy because you're gonna need money to get it off the ground, but we are gonna need money, work and time, and the money. And that's what we need to get us a real media so we can stay in touch with one another, so we can know what's going on, so we can show from our perspective. And what I like about, like when Mr. Untouchable told me about Bitter Medicine podcast, right? And I first checked them out a couple times before I ever even went on there, right? And I was listening. One thing I noticed that they didn't do, right? So he said that media, I say media, forecast media, and because I didn't know, I noticed he didn't have a clip. Every other clip was some white girl that they're calling Karen that's just running out and screaming, and every black person is taking out their phones. Oh my God, I'm tired of that. But that's what some of these black people call media. Just show every time a white woman go crazy. Another crazy Karen, another crazy Karen. And they call it media. That's not media. That's playing on black people emotions. We have to know how to stay in touch. And with the ham radio thing, and we'll get back to that because I've been talking and I might be rambling right now. But we can talk about the ham radio, and if anybody know what ham radio is, that's what we need, ham radio, so we can stay in touch.
All right. Well, yeah, you can go on that on your closing thing, Bakari. I think the Pro Black Perspective had a question, but yeah, this is what we was gonna do. If anybody on the panel or in the chat has any last questions, I appreciate you, Koku, because it's been like 2 hours, and I know time is money.
Nah, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for having me on. Bakari just touched on something, and I see what the Pro Black Perspective is saying in the chat. Bakari touched on something that actually reminded me, when I was talking about KWAZ radio, one of the things I forgot to mention, whenever you're doing like interviews, you kind of lose your train of thought and you forget to mention certain things. But yeah, absolutely, what Bakari said is absolutely on point. We need to have black folks on the ground reporting what's going on. So one of the ideas for KWAZ radio is to eventually have folks on the ground in Jamaica or Nigeria, east, west, north, south, whatever, who can come and report to us what's going on with organizing and organizations and events in their neck of the woods. When I started the Bitter Medicine podcast, I used to have a blog site, Bitter Medicine Blogs. And the idea for that blog site, it didn't come to fruition, but the idea was for folks, wherever they are, to hop on and drop an article about something going on in their neck of the woods. Because ultimately, like I said earlier in this interview, I want everyone to be aware of methodologies and activities and stuff that's going on in the black world around the diaspora. And the last point I'll touch on that Bakari mentioned is those things take time. It takes investments. It takes a minute. Like if you study how they get this mass media, like Reuters and stuff like that, these guys go and they buy out little small publications, those small radio joints and stuff like that, and add it to their stable, and that's how they expand the way they do, right? If you look at NPR, which is what I was studying, NPR, those guys start off like kind of just doing, almost ham radio type stuff, honestly. A few of those people in different places, and then they just kind of organized. They organized together, they applied for their funding, and they got funding because white folks understand you need to stay informed. You need to know what's going on around you with other folks, right? And so it's a process. It's a process, but my idea is that I don't have to see it to the end. Once I could start something, once you can start something, maybe you want to start a indie film studio, or maybe you want to start a magazine. My good friend Kevin Carre 42, he has published a magazine. He has published books on the beauty of Black women and stuff like that. You don't have to necessarily see it to the end, but if you can start it and can pass that off to the next generation, and they build upon what you did and pass it off and so on, you can get to the real, what people really understand media to be. You can get there, but it's steps to that.
Yeah, and let me say this before, I meant to say this last time. My brother MD2 said a great example of platforms is, can any of y'all say this word?
Bibi Tumi Casa.
Yeah, they have been everything correct in African only platforms for over 15 years. For those who seriously committed to winning, study Dr. Tony Martin. That word, say that again, Koku.
Bibi Tumi Casa.
And the professor, say that.
Molamu Barudi.
Okay.
Teacher Barudi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and also, he was going to ask journalists in the Black community. We tend to just use white journalists. So, you can ask that question. And also, if any of y'all have any last questions, Tanzan, Bukhari, Ben?
No questions. I just have a statement at the end and everybody done, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna go around and close out after the rest. But do you want to answer that question? Oh yeah, it's for my brother Oni.
Yeah, well, again, we like Tan and others said on the platform, we got to use what we have for now. If we have to pull clips from the news for now, that's fine. 50 years from now, we shouldn't be doing that still. We should be actually out there, as the action unfolds, as they say. But it's steps to it. We can't act like we're at the finish line when we're really at the beginning. We just have to trust the process, actively work towards the goal. And by the way, I had Camben on, Obadale Camben. I had him on the show, and his people have been asking me to have him on again, and I need to do that soon. But yeah, his
That's
platform.
the way. I'm sorry, not to cut you off. I got lost there right there. That was to what MD2 was saying.
Yeah, Obadale Camben is the guy who created or who Bibi Tumi is built around. That's his Black social media, right?
Okay.
It's akin to say Facebook or something like that, right? Yeah, to Facebook.
I see.
I have one more question for guys. I just thought about something I wanted to ask.
All right, Bukhari.
I don't know if I heard you mention this or not, so I want to ask Coco. On protecting the community, Black men standing up, being Black men, protecting our elderly, our women, our children. I would like to know your stance on that, and would you be willing to be a part of something like that?
And, to be a part of protecting Black women and children in the community,
like a militia. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I talked about this on my show. I've talked about this several times. So in New York, where they have these oppressive gun laws, and you guys heard what Forecast said earlier about how to, deal with those oppressive gun laws. But I've advocated, and some people may say it's silly, but There's certain people groups who don't think it's silly. I've advocated, man, we supposed to be, if you can't get that weapon legally, in the meantime, we supposed to be getting involved in, you know, in drills, paintball drill. Use paintball if you have to, but get used to drills, get used to tactics. Get used to being in positions of leadership. Sometimes, this is where we should have our folks who served in various militaries and stuff come back to the community and teach us what they learned. In their time there. I believe in that heavily, and I would absolutely want to be involved in something like that.
Okay, well, you said all that. That made me get one. This is the last one forecast, I promise. But you being from the Bahamas, right?
Yeah.
I'm a country dude myself, right? And I say it's certain things that we have to do to get used to. Let me see if this makes sense to you. So I say we need to learn how to start off with slaughtering a hog. So you can get used to. I'm being careful on this YouTube for you forecast. So we can get used to certain things. So we can get used to defending and what might have to come when you defend. I'm hoping I'm trying to word this right without getting forecast channel taken down. but you understand, right, forecast? You mean say, Koku, you understand the question, right?
Yes, sir.
Just say it, Bugari. Just say it, because kids don't understand, so they need to understand too.
So you can get used to taking a life from something. Like me, I've slaughtered hogs. So you can get used to taking a life, hearing something stop breathing, and you actually did it. Would you agree with that? Do you think that was some? I don't know. I'm just.
Oh, absolutely. I grew up. So I'm from Nassau, the capital, right? Just like Mr. Untouchable. And the thing, and I think about this a lot now. I think about them a lot, and I'll say who I'm talking about. My grandparents were from a smaller island in the Bahamas called Eleuthera, from a settlement called Topham Bay. And when I look back on them now, I realize that they were really carrying on some traditional African, traditions, like ways of life. Like, so we farmed. I grew up with goats in the yard. I grew up with chickens. I grew up having to grab a chicken, break its neck. My uncle and them, we would go take hogs to the slaughterhouse, and sometimes you do a bush cut where you hang a pig up and slice it open and let the entrails fall out. Like, I've seen this stuff. I've had to deal with it. You know what I mean? And I think of my kids who were born in the States who don't know what I'm talking about. And, that's a failing on my part, so to speak. So, yeah, if I could get, especially them, more so them, if I can get them in a position, like you said, where they could get used to the idea that certain things have to die. And you might have to be the one to facilitate that. That survival sometimes means that for you to live, something else has to go. Yeah, I'm definitely down for that, particularly for, my children. Absolutely.
All right, you good, Bugari?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Yeah, I was just
and Bakari, now that you brought that up, I would like to invite you to my platform. And we have a show where we talk about these things. And a guy like D Webb from the Harsh Rally podcast, who was also a soldier as well in the past, let's have those conversations, those frank conversations about, what it takes to really survive,
Yeah, okay, we can do that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, around here, what I'm saying, a lot of people don't come on this channel, but we give everybody a fair opportunity. Now, Koku came and what I'm saying, and it was pleasant today, what I'm saying. I know it got derailed a little bit, but shouts out to Jermaine, what I'm saying. And I appreciate y'all for looking out for me, But Koku, you got an opportunity to ask anybody. You can bring the smoke, you can be nice about it. What I'm saying? But this unapologetic week over here. So if you got any questions for anybody on the panel or the chat, you know what I'm saying, it's your turn, you know what I'm saying, to grill us, you know.
Well, for me, I don't deal in the, I don't deal in the low energy stuff. I try to always be about knowledge and application. So for me, the Jermaine thing is a little bit off putting because, he was insistent upon that nonsense. But, that's your people's and I respect that. So I'll let him be. But I invited him to my platform. You could come and talk that stuff with me directly, right? But for what I would like to ask is, I heard the mention of ham radio. I remember I used to, I had a friend who used to dabble in some ham radio back home, actually. So I'm curious to hear a little snippet about what you guys have in mind. You don't have to spill all the beans, but just just give us a little idea what you mean.
Well, me and a friend, she actually got on me too because I've been so busy. I've been procrastinating, right? But we study and have to get the book studied so we can get our ham. We want a few people, at least a few of us in different places, to have the ham radio license so we can stay in touch and let one another know what's going on. And especially let's think about it. Do you remember that day? It's been a while. They had shut Facebook down for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
YouTube down for like 24 hours, some shit like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say they decide to shut your cell phones down. You feel me? How would we stay in touch? We would have no way to get our message out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can get the expensive, the real expensive one that's good that can carry everywhere. It's going to be about $2,000, right? But you probably don't have to get them new. But we can study and learn how to use them. And you, New York, I'm here in Georgia. Tanzan is out in Cali. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we could have them where people can, so we can stay in touch with our people everywhere and let everybody know what's going on. That's the purpose.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit more. I remember as kids, we used to play around trying to learn Morse code and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of people probably thought that was silly, but you never know. You never know what'll come down the pipe, and we definitely should be prepared. I guess I could ask another question.
Yeah, as many questions as you want,
of who's here. Tan, you recently joined KWAZ Radio. Tell us about your show that's coming up.
Yes, so it will be the first one this Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Yes, 2 and 5 p.m. Eastern. And what we'll be examining is just the underlying theories behind the the world, the system, the structure, and so on, behind everything. So I pretty much finished the outline for it, and I'm hoping it will be a good start. But I'm really excited. I've listened to everybody's programs as much as I can, and it's just been great content, and I hope I can add something to it. So yes.
Absolutely.
I do need a bit of help with setting things up because this is new to me, so I'll probably talk to you before then.
Yeah, hit me up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The forecast. I may ask you because you had me on today, and I appreciate it. No. It's all love. I appreciate you having me on. I'm just curious to know, like, what do you see, like, when you think of the community that we're trying to build with KWAZ Radio? What do you envision your part would be in that?
My part, well, I'll be honest, I can only do the things that I can do. I know for me, what I have done, I went through like every year of history possible. I tried to like relive our whole experience, what I'm saying, just for like to like last 600, 700 years, you know what I'm saying? And I did get a lot of information, you know what I'm saying? All I can do is just, be there to support the people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to build And then when I listen to your shows, you get a lot of good information. And then like, your platform, like, the like, and that's why I shout out to Mr. Untouchable for inviting me over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that kind of platform is like, different. So like, what I want to do is like, because I know we be in a lot of tribal stuff, but for me, I'm not so much caught into that outside of a B1, because I'll say B1, you know what I'm saying? Black first, because that's all it really is. And I am for Black people first, no matter where you are in the world, because there's Black people all over the world, you know what I'm saying? And, I'm there to do what I can for anybody. And it's things like, it's Ben Uku on this platform, and Koku, you on this platform, and Ben is trying to create a platform. So like what I'm trying to do is like try to like, link different groups doing whatever they got to do, and then finding a common ground, which I know that we all don't want our children to be shot down by the police. We can agree on that. But, it's tough sometimes because slavery wasn't enough to do that. But, at least I can do is offer a medium ground for us to, meet and to like build connections. And then what me and Bakari even try to do with Erica, shouts out to Erica, you know what I'm saying? And Team Black, and what we're trying to do is just build, you know what I'm saying, whatever. I'm not trying to change nobody's ideology. I don't care if you're a Christian, if you're a feminist, if you're this, if you're that. I just want to like be able to build, like, if you agree that we need schools and then this person agrees we need schools, why shouldn't they be working together to build schools for Black children if they agree on that? But if they sit there and talk about where you come from, then they won't do it. It makes no sense to me. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, this channel is also propaganda. And this was a brilliant piece of propaganda, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? This Black media stuff. And that's why I would say this Black media, because it's a lot of great minds, and it went, you know what I'm saying, good. You know what I mean? So like, hopefully as much as I can help, you know what I'm saying, people, and I know people always been there to help me. So I know if I can do anything to like help, then I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? I know sometimes I'd be on some free spirit stuff, but like, I can appreciate you brothers like MD2 because y'all get what I'm saying. But that's kind of a long answer. I don't know if I answered it. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. It also reminds me that one of the things I hope for everyone who's on the platform is to have your project. I think it was the matron I saw post something on Twitter along those lines today. Like, have your thing of interest. Bakari is talking about what he was talking about just now. You're doing the thing down there with the in the township where the sewer is backing up into the drinking water. I talk about the African Center curriculum. Oni has his books and whatnot, and so I think everyone should have a certain thrust, as well as providing the information, as well as providing the think and thought pieces, but also have a thrust off here that you could also talk about to inspire people to kind of connect. So I appreciate that too.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Forecast, but who's Black? You Black first, man. Are you talking about like J. Edgar Hoover and Abraham Lincoln and all?
They got 4 Black grandparents. All right, then. So we can define it. It's not complicated. See, this is what I'm talking about. Spooked out. You gonna get me started with spooked out, but my scriptures is coming.
But you know, you ain't got. I already told you ain't got no scriptures for it.
My scriptures is coming soon. But all right, so any more questions, Koku? You want to grill Bakari, or you want to grill Tanzan or me?
Nah, I think I prefer to have Bakari come on, and let's have a real conversation about protecting, survival, and stuff like that. And I'm sure eventually, I think Tan wants all of us to show up on her new show as well. So yeah, we'll have chances to ask each other questions and grill each other, I guess, in the future. But that's all for me.
Hey Bakari, hey, by the way, can you put everybody's channel, Koku, Tanzan,
yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, only Learner Curve, everybody's channel. And stop kind of picking on it. So you good, Koku? No more questions?
I'm good. If anyone else, I know MG2 was somewhere he wanted to drop some knowledge at the end here, but yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right. So this is your show. I'll give you the opportunity to decide if you want to go first or last on the closing, and then we're gonna go in order about who came on.
I could go first on the closing. I keep it very simple.
Hey, before you do that though,
Yeah.
Koku, because like any smart man does, you did a great job of avoiding my question when I asked you, "What do you know?" So like, like any smart man does, he doesn't reveal what he knows. But I pay attention to everything. I know you're gonna answer the question.
Exactly.
No, I'm just messing with you. Go ahead, close out.
Yeah. So you know me. I just want to say thank you for having me on. I hope I was an interesting enough guest. I know sometimes I could lose my train of thought while talking because I have so much thoughts and my mind moves a little faster than my mouth does, honestly. So I hope I was entertaining. I hope I was insightful. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad that I met Mr. Untouchable actually on the Matrons channel, The Learning Curve. That's why I met Mr. Untouchable from, and I'm glad I did. We're from the same spot, and he's put me on to, all you guys, Brother Bakari, the forecast. I think somewhere in there, that's how I met Tanzan, somewhere in there. So I gassed them up, Jay, all those kind of folks like that. I appreciate Mr. Untouchable very much. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate Tanzan, the Learning Curve, Oni, and the Harsh Ali podcast, who's returning, I think, this week to putting out new shows. So I thank you guys for having me on. I thank you guys for being who you are. Like I say, you guys are iron. You sharpen me, right? I'm iron too. You sharpen me with your insight. And make sure you guys just check out all the other shows. Bakari's putting them up in the chat now. Subscribe to all the other channels. Again, it's a family affair. So we will become, hopefully, your go-to place to get your news and information and your thoughts, thought pieces for our community. And again, thank you.
All right, yo, and thank you for doing this, Coco, for real. Like, I appreciate it. This was a great show. You know what I'm saying? You like it was too. I couldn't even hold all the people who wanted to come on, my brother. So, yo, you was a great guest. I like how you kept it professional, kept it on topic. And I know, sometimes people get mad that I don't, black people and stuff like that. But like, yo, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody, you ain't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I got my ways about me, but I appreciate you, my brother.
I appreciate it.
All right, so I'm gonna let Bakari go last since he putting things in the chat. Hey Ben, you there? Ben haven't spoke. All right, I think Ben is not there. Tanzan.
Yeah. Yes, thank you again, Brother Focus, for having me on. Thank you, Coco. This was an excellent discussion. And Ben and Brother Bakari as well. I do look forward to when Ben presents his program, and we're definitely going to support him. For me, I just, my wish is and hope is for us to be able to, to be able to reach and know about each other's experiences and just connect. And one of the reasons why Swahili, even though it's not I'm just a co-host, but it's a place where we can talk with people on the continent and we can actually bring them the perspective from different places. And sometimes, our people back in the continent, they really don't, I try to tell them, how things are, but it's good to actually hear the voices from, the places, the people who lived here, the people who know here best. And so, I do appreciate everyone who has been on the show as well, the Swahili Nation show. And it's an honor to be here, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. So thank you all.
Yeah. Hey Bakari, you good, my brother?
I think I'm putting the last one in. I think so.
All right. Oh,
look.
Yeah, say everything you want to say.
All right. If I miss somebody, y'all forgive me. Don't blame it on my heart. Blame it on my brain. Look, man, it was good.
Put yourself in there, Bakari.
This is a good I forgot that too. This was a hey yo, look, this is a good interview, man. It was good being up here with the brothers and the sister, Tanzan, uh, Koku, Tanzan, being even though he don't be paying attention, MG2, uh, Oni from the pro black perspective, the revolutionary matron. That's the best name on YouTube. I don't know why she didn't come up, but that's all right. But look, man, it was good. So I've explained about the ham radio uh, part of it, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking to someone. This is an idea I had a long time ago, and I was dealing with some people who was too selfish to understand. I still do things a little old school, right? So what I said was we're gonna create pamphlets and we're gonna put black business in it and we're gonna charge them a certain amount of money. You know, because I go out here and if you look at my channel, I'm always supporting black businesses. The stuff I talk about is what I do. So I had 7 businesses ready to give me $25 a month for the pamphlets, right? So the group I was with, they got upset. Well, don't care how much money they pay you, they business have to be in the back, and our business have to be in the front. So it fell apart. But now I've met some real people, so we are back on that again. And I think it's going to be more. We want to try to do pamphlets and apps, but that's one of the things that we're working on now. And I'm trying not to spread myself too thin because I get too thin, then I forget. But that's one of the things that is something else that we're working on right now, along with the ham radio. We're working on that. I already have some black businesses who will most definitely pay to use the service just on the strength of me always promoting them. And I wanted to tell this when Koku said something about forecasts. He did the GoFundMe for the people in Lowndes County, Alabama, the original home of the Black Panthers, by the way. I always have to throw that in there. I want you to know this won't be our first time raising money to help our people. We actually raised money. We actually raised the money Team Black did to take water down in Jackson, Mississippi when they had the water crisis. Not as bad as Flint, but similar to Flint. But we did take water down to Jackson, Mississippi and give to our people. And that's what we're about, right? I'm not trying to compare and tell y'all don't go listen. People gonna listen to who they want to listen to. But the only thing I can say is when you find brothers and you find us and you find brothers and sisters and we're trying to do stuff like this, I think this should be more important than a fake hidden history museum. And on that note, I'm gonna close.
All right, all right. I appreciate that, Bakari, and I appreciate you putting the links in the chat too. Um, and yeah, put your channel and the rest of them. And I'll say this, you know what I'm saying, and this I'm not comparing nobody, but just listen to the story and learn, you know what I'm saying, or take whatever you want from it. In 1884, you know what I'm saying, there was this thing called the Berlin Conference. Europeans slaughtered each other. They still slaughter each other, obviously, to this day. And you mentioned the war in Ukraine. My good brother MB2 talks about it a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's not whether about we care about the Ukrainians. It's not about whether we care about the Russians. It's about that we care about ourselves. Who do we benefit, or how do we benefit the most from this environment? You know what? Sometimes I may even start a fight between the Russians and Ukrainians if it'll benefit me. You know what I'm saying? So if it's something to be gained, there is something to be explored. You know what I'm saying? And in 1884, they decided to put aside their tribal differences in order to help colonize the globe a lot easier than the constant bloodshed that they did to each other. And to this day, in the middle of a war, they will still send black people, no matter where country they come from, packing. You know what I'm saying? And they will stop shooting at each other just to shoot at you and then get back to shooting at each other. Now, in whatever year it takes, you know what I'm saying, there has to be this conference if our group of people want to survive and be self-sufficient. The people that look like us get exploited. We went around the globe and we can see how black people are treated. And earlier, something I played, it might have been yesterday, I'm getting it confused, but that hatred is not just in America. You know what I'm saying? It might have been the intro. It's not just in America that's worldwide. You know what I'm saying? They are bleaching their skin worldwide because people hate this what they look like when they look in the mirror, and we ain't standing up for each other. And I did the story of the crocodiles and the alligators, and I'm not going. It's a long story, but the crocodiles and the alligators, they was the dinosaurs, y'all. Like they went around telling they were the dinosaurs. They've been around for 200 million years, but they hated each other because alligators. I think crocodiles are a little bit older, and they used to throw it in their face, and crocodiles have tougher skin or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of more natural or whatever. But then when the anaconda came into their environment, you know what I'm saying? Even though it was one anaconda, there's millions of black people, and it's just a few of them. But when that snake came in, the snake is a snake, you know what I'm saying? But they wasn't worried. But they ended up slaughtering each other. And the moral of the story is today, the only place that they're an endangered species and the only place that alligators and crocodiles live together is in some place in Florida. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? They was the dinosaurs. There was some people that came on the channels that they was having and said, what about the caimans? You know what I'm saying? Aren't they reptilians? You know what I'm saying? So, and then some people said we are reptilians, you know what I'm saying? But some people didn't say there was the crocodiles and alligators, now they extinct, you know what I'm saying? But on that note, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you, my brother Koku. This was a great show. Tanzan, Bukhari, Ben, MD2, everybody else, Oni. I wish Learning Curve would have came on. Thank all of y'all. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.